Hello and welcome to Schletter's tutorial on our Rooftop Configurator tool. Now we'll start with the basics. If you want to get to the tool, simply type in rct.schletter.com.au. So that's no www. This tutorial will assume you have an account already, but if you don't, just click where it says create one here and follow the instructions. Once you have created an account, all you need to do is put in your username here and your password here, and then just click sign in. The first page you'll see is where you'll find your quotations later on when you have a few set up. You can have a maximum of 10, so if you ever need to delete one, just use this trash can sign here and click. If you're in the quotation and creating one, but you want to come back to this page, just click up on the top left where it says Schletter. And to create a new quote, simply click New Quote, and one will appear here. To edit it, just click on the pencil icon here. The first page you'll see is one where it asks you if you're putting fasteners onto a sheet made of copper or titanium zinc. You'll have to answer no to this because we don't have any appropriate solutions for that. The tool is good for flush mounted or elevated systems. Just pick which one you want to do. For this, we'll just go with flush mount and click continue to go through. Later on, when you've gone through the project a bit more, you can use these top tabs to navigate. So you can go from the bill of materials, step 8, all the way back to step 2. If you need to change anything, just by using the tab. But for the moment, we'll have to use continue because we haven't populated these tabs yet. First, you'll need to put in your customer name. This is more for your reference, and the same with the project, the state, postcode, suburb, and street number. The system won't detect automatically the address for the wind region or the terrain category. You'll need to input those yourself. So for your records, we'll just put in the customer name. This will appear on the PDF later on. Customer 1 and a very original project 1. The tool is good for Australia and New Zealand. For this, we'll just go Australia, Victoria, postcode is 3000, suburb Melbourne, and street number 1. You'll then need to select your wind region. If you're unsure, just click on the map, it enlarges, and you can have a look at where you are and what the relevant wind region is. So we'll just do wind region A, and the same for the terrain category. A description is here for each of them. For this, we're just going to go with terrain category 2. Now, our rails are made of marine grade aluminium, so they're quite robust towards corrosion. However, we do advise if you're closer than 500 meters from the sea that you have the rails anodized. But for this, we're just going to put in 5,000 meters. The corrosion category, this is more for your reference, but we do advise anything C3 and above would be anodized. Nope. For the solar module page, you'll need to input the length, the width, and the thickness, along with the wattage, and then the number of panels required on this particular system. Now, it's important that the length, the width, and the thickness are very accurate. You'll need to check your panel's data sheet from that. Don't just take a guess, as it does affect the number of fasteners you use, the rail lengths needed, and things like that. So it's very important this is accurate. We'll just put in a figure here. For the wattage, that's more for your reference. You'll see up here that the average price per kilowatt is shown later on. So this uses this figure here. So whatever figure you're going to put in will affect the calculations. It's more for your reference than anything else. Number of panels required. The depends on the system size, but we'll just put in 16 here. You'll notice now that you've gone through some of the tabs that you can actually go back and use the tabs to navigate. But the next step for us is the building information. So this includes things like the building height, the pitch, the depth and the breadth. Also, most importantly, what roof type's going to be on the building. The tool is useful for pretty much all roof types with the exception of a ballasted system. Now you can do a flat roof if penetration's allowed, but if you're not allowed and you need to use a ballasted system, you'll have to come to us and we can quote you for that. We can do a bespoke design. But you'll find it's got most other sheet types in there: corrugated tin, fiber cement, clip lot style, trapezoidal, tiles of course, and king fan style roofs. For this, we're just going to do corrugated. For corrugated, it auto-populates the ridge to ridge distance. However, for the others, you would need to input this manually. So just type in whatever figure you want. The building height, the tool is good for anything up to 20 meters. But for this, we'll just choose 5. Pitch, I don't know, let's go for 22. Building depth, 10. Breadth, 15. Oops. 15. Now it is important these are accurate. Again, it does affect the calculations. Finally, just select if your building is gable or monoslope roof. Get monoslope. And what the purlin's made of, whether it's steel or timber. Purlin to purlin distance, let's just go with 1200, let's say. On the configuration page, you get to choose what rail type you're going to use, whether you're going to have the panels in portrait or landscape, and whether you're going to attach for the roof sheet or the substructure. Now, for certain roof types, this of course isn't available. For this, we're just going to choose substructure. Now you'll notice here that the substructure in landscape, you cannot have the Eco or the Solo rail. You'd need to use the Solo Plus. If you were to change it to portrait, you have all 3 options. You could, of course, with our fixed W on the corrugated tin, you could just use roof sheet, and that opens up the other rail types. We'll come back to this later, but for the moment, we'll just use the Solo rail. You'll notice here that if you click these 2 links, you can have the product sheet and the spanning tables. They're available for you to download as well. So if you need any information on the solution, it's all here. On this page, you can choose whether you're going to go with a budgetary quote or a final quote. Budgetary does many of the calculations for you, but you can only have edge or middle zone. Panels per row, so we're going to have 8 panels per row, and it does the calculations that you're going to have 2 rows. With the final quote, which I would recommend that you use, you're allowed to separate out the middle and the edge zones. Now, this may not be useful for a project where there's only 16 panels, but on the larger commercial projects, then it's certainly worthwhile going through your system, assessing which are middle, which are edge, and inputting this, the different rows into here. But for this, because it's only 16 panel, we'll just put them the edge, and we're going to have 2 rows of 8. For larger systems, you can actually play with the amount of panels per row. So if we look at the price here, it's $523.95 when we're using 2 rows of 8. But if we try 4 rows of 4, See if it makes a difference to the price. It goes up a little bit. So you are indeed better off with 2 rows of 8 when possible. Of course, not every project will allow that. Click continue to go to the next page. On this page, you can put in the percentage of spares you may want. So if you're prone to dropping, losing, or damaging items, then you may want some spares just in case. And you can also put in the optional extras such as microinverter attachment kits or isolated covers. For this, we're just going to go for no. We'll have some end caps though, and we'll click continue. Now this page shows the summary and the bill of materials. This outlines all of the items that you've put in previously. So you'll see here the customer name, the customer project, the panel details, along with the building details too. The rows per, or panels per row is listed, along with, most importantly, the bill of materials, including price, GST, part numbers, descriptions. And this is accurate according to all the parameters you've put in, so you can trust this. Now here's one of the cool things about this tool. You can click to generate a PDF. We'll get rid of these. Once the PDF is populated here, you can save it. You save the file name, so however your filing system works, you can save it for your reference for future. So if the project's perhaps 6 months away and the time comes to place the order, you just simply need to refer back to this bill of materials and all of the information is listed. Now, one of the great things about the RCT is that you can go back and you can go back into the project, then change any of the parameters that you may want. So if the customer says, I want to use a different solar module, it's smaller or larger, you just simply put in the new dimensions and it recalculates everything for you. The other thing you can do is design a system which has both landscape and portrait panels. With this, you just simply need to put in the number of panels required on the new system. So we'll just go with 200. All the information of the solar module is stored, and then just change to landscape. Then you simply go to continue, put in the number of panels that you need. So we'll change that from 2, and we'll go for, let's say, 20 rows of 10 panels. Click continue, do your spares again if you need any. The bill of materials is here, and just generate a new PDF. So you would have a bill of materials for both landscape and portrait. And all you'd need to do is just change the configuration of the panels in this tab here. Just play with that. You can optimize the price of the system by changing the rails that you use. So the Solo or the Eco may be cheaper, depending on the number of fasteners used compared to the price of the rail. So in this particular instance, it's a fraction cheaper to go with the Solo rail, but you'll be using fewer fasteners, so it will be faster to install. And again, you can alter the number of panels per row here. Sometimes it may be more cost effective to say have 40 rows of 5 panels rather than 20 rows of 10 panels. Sometimes not. Let's find out. Not in this particular instance. So you'd want 20 rows of 10 panels. But on more complex systems, you can play with the number of panels per row to optimize the price. And again, just click through to continue to print off the PDF.